Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a cubic deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely interesting deck that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Crimson Nova. Crimson Nova is definitely a 3-of in the build with the ability, and it cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned from your hand by revealing 3 other cubic cards in your hand with different names, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It's unaffected by other monsters' activated effects whose original attack is 3,000 or less, and when this attacking card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect that this card can make a second attack during this battle phase. Also, during your end phase, each player takes 3,000 damage, which is a crazy powerful effect to be able to use to actually do some burn damage and finish off the game. This card is an awesome boss monster. We then play 3 copies of Duza. Duza's an amazing 3-of in the build and the best normal summon in the deck, as if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a cubic card from your deck to the graveyard, like your copy of Unification or even a copy of Cubic Karma. This card is really cool as a 3-of in the build, and we have some very easy ways to be able to get to this card. We then play 3 copies of Yugioh. Yugioh is an amazing 3-of as well, and this card is super cool to be able to play, as it cannot be destroyed by battle, giving us some real defense in this deck. We then play a single copy of Garrigus. Garrigus is really cool as a 1-of in the build, because this card can actually do 800 points of burn damage to your opponent, and can also special summon itself to your side of the field by sending a cubic monster you control to the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Buster Gunyeal. Buster Gunyeal is a great 1-of in the build, but you're basically just playing this card for an additional name in the deck to be able to summon out your copy of Crimson Nova. We then play 3 copies of Diabellstar. Diabellstar is a really cool 3-of in the build because we're actually using an Azamina engine in this deck. And this card is super cool to be able to play because you can special summon this card from your hand by sending 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard, which actually helps us out a lot with our cubic cards to be able to send cards to the graveyard like Unification or a copy of a Cubic Karma. This card also has the ability that if this card is normally special summon, you can set a simple spell trap directly from your deck, helping us get to our copy of Deception so we can step into our Azamina package. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Cubic Durama. Cubic Durama is really cool as a 1-of in the build because this card is that you take no battle damage from attacks involving your cubic monsters. This card also has the ability that you can use each of these abilities once per turn, that you can send a cubic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw a card, and you can banish this card from the graveyard to target a cubic monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. We then play a single copy of Deception. Deception is really cool to be able to set to your side of the field using your copy of Diabellstar so you can step into your Azamina engine, because this card is the ability to contribute 1 monster from your hand or field to add an Azamina card from your deck to your hand. And if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard and you control an Azamina monster, you can actually make your opponent lose 1,500 life points, and if you do, gain 1,500 life points. And during your end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there from the spell and trap card this turn while face up, you can set this card back to your side of the field, which is a great ability to be able to use to instantly set this card back to your side of the field every single end phase. We then play a single copy of the Hollowed Azamina. Hollowed Azamina is basically how we step into our Azamina fusion monsters by revealing an Azamina fusion monster in the extract, and for every 4 levels it has, round down, you send a Sinful Spools card from your hand or face from the field to the graveyard, which is going to be your copy of Deception, to be able to special summon out your Azamina monster that you revealed for this card's effect, which is so cool to be able to do. And then my second copy of Debutors. Debutors is awesome as a 1-of in the build to basically just quick summon out an Azamina monster during your opponent's turn. It's very similar to the hollowed Azamina. We then play 3 copies of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spools. This card is great to help us search out our copy of Diabellstar directly from our deck to our hand, which is so cool to be able to do. Plus, this card is a great ability that during your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target one of your Sinful Spool spell or traps that is banished or in the graveyard, accept a copy of Wanted, place it on the bottom of the deck, and then draw a card, which can help you with your copy of Deception. We then play 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. Goods is good. This card is amazing in the deck. Tell me to send your copy of Unification or your copy of Cubic Karma directly from your deck to the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Cubic Wave. Cubic Wave is how we actually OTK our opponent using our copy of Crimson Nova. The ability to target a cubic monster you control and a face-up monster your opponent controls, and the attack of your monster you control becomes double its current attack, and if it does, the attack of your opponent's monster becomes half its current attack points, making it super easy to swing in for game with a 6,000 attack point copy of your Crimson Nova, which is absolutely insane. We then play 3 copies of Cubic Karma. Cubic Karma is amazing in this deck because when this card is activated, you can actually target a cubic monster you control, accept a copy of V-Jom, and send any number of V-Joms from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then that monster gains 800 attack for each sent to the graveyard. Also, during your opponent's turn, if a V-Jom is special summoned by the effects of a cubic monster, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, half your opponent's life points, which is a pretty interesting ability. This card also has broken ability that we always use in this card, is you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a cubic monster from your deck to your hand, meaning it's an awesome card to be able to send to the graveyard using your copy of your Diabellstar or your copy of Foolish Burial Goods. We then play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets. Droplets is amazing in this build to basically half the attack points of your opponent's monsters and negate their effects. We then also play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is just awesome to build to basically break your opponent's board, and it's an awesome 3-of in the build. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Cubic Ascension. This card is awesome as a 1-of in the build because this card has the effect that when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon a copy of V-Jom from your deck, and if you do, change the attack target to it and perform damage calculation. And if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours, you can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a V-Jom from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then, if only your opponent controlled a monster when this card was activated, you can special summon it to 2 more V-Joms, which is an awesome ability to instantly swarm the board with your copies of V-Jom. We then play 3 copies of Unification of the Cubic Lords. This card is insane. This card is so cool to be able to play because you can actually activate this card's ability, and if a face-up cubic monster is destroyed by battle or leaves the field, you can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a level 4 lower cubic monster from the hand or the deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, and if you do, it cannot be destroyed by battle by card effects this turn. Meaning, even if you link away a copy of your Duza, you can actually banish this card from the graveyard to summon out another Duza from the deck to be able to summon this card to the graveyard again, link away that copy of Duza, and banish another copy of this card from the graveyard to basically link climb using your copy of Duza, which is so cool to be able to do. And it's insane how powerful it is to normal summon out your copy of Duza, send Unification to the graveyard, and just link climb through your copies of Duza, and it's so easy to do. But this card is so powerful in the deck as a 3-of, and it's such a cool card to be able to play, and it's easy to get in the graveyard in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of Crimson Nova Trinity. Crimson Nova Trinity comes out very rarely in this deck, but it is still a very interesting option that you can summon in this build by fusing 3 Crimson Novas to be able to actually make this card. But it's an awesome boss monster that once it touches the field, you're probably going to win the game. And then I see a copy of Azamina Severa. Azamina Severa is really cool to be able to summon this deck because this card is actually a walking negate. We may a single copy of Musalago. Musalago is great to be able to play in this build because this card is the monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack moons for each Azamina monster that you control, which is a great effect to help us OTK your opponent. This card also has a really cool ability that if this card is fusion summon, you can actually add an Azamina or a Sinful Spools card from your deck to your hand. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can add a Sinful Spools spell from your deck to your hand. We may a single copy of Azamina Soul. Azamina Soul is great to be able to play in this build and helps out a lot in the deck that if this card is fusion summoned, you can actually target a monster on the field and send it to the graveyard, which is a pretty cool ability. Plus, this card is actually a very interesting super poly target in the deck. And then a single copy of Moa Regina. Moa Regina is just an awesome option overall in this build that you can summon in this deck, and this card is the ability to actually target an illusion monster in the graveyard, accept another copy of this card, and special summon it. Also, when an Azamina or a Sinful Spool card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them. We lay a single copy of Dracostapelia. Dracostapelia is great in this deck as a super poly target because this card is a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Garua. Garua is awesome as a super poly target alongside a copy of Mud Dragon. These cards are awesome to be able to play in the build to basically just use them in this deck to instantly help you super poly away your opponent's field. And it's just super cool to be able to play in this build to basically just deal with your opponent's board. We play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is great in this deck because our copies of Musalago and our copies of Severa are both level 6, plus our copy of Duza is a level 4. You can easily make this card using both of those monsters, which is so cool to be able to do, and it's insane how powerful it is to summon out a copy of Chaos Angel using Light and Dark, and it's very easy to summon in this build, and it's such a cool card because it also spawn moves cards off the field, and you don't even have to use a tuner to make it. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's great in this build to basically help you bounce cards off the field, and it's a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters. We play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is very easy to summon when you link climb using your copy of Duza, and this card is super cool to be able to summon because it can pop multiple cards on the field and it comes out massive. We may have seen a copy of Selene. Selene is great in the build to be able to play because it helps you basically climb to your copy of Access Code. If you use a copy of basically your Dibel Star, you can instantly bring it back to your side of the field and step into a copy of Selene and then Access Code. We may have seen a copy of Lina. Lina is great to be able to play in the deck. You could also play the Dark Charmer as well, but I found myself often summoning this card out using a copy of Duza, which is a light monster, which is why I determined that this card was actually the better Charmer between them, but you can play the Dark Charmer instead if you want to. And then I see a copy of SP. SP is great in the deck to be able to play to basically use this card as a double interruption. And then finally play a single copy of IP. IP is great to play in this build. Basically just use this card to go in for your copy of SP during the opponent's turn. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a cubic deck, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's very powerful with the Azamina package in this deck, and it's just super fun to be able to play. Tell me going for awesome boss monsters like Crimson Nova, and hopefully soon we'll be getting some actual support for cubic, because it's been a long time since this deck actually got support, and I absolutely love this deck because Crimson Nova is just such a cool boss monster. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. So, guys.